This episode of Adventures in Alchemy is brought to you by the Moon and Magic Planner, 13 Moons of 2020. Plan on magic for 2020. Magic just doesn't happen. You have to plan on it. And this planner has plenty of ideas and spaces for creating magic. It celebrates the moons instead of the months. It follows the cycles of nature. It has pages to share your word of the year, your intentions, an oracle reading for the year. It also has spaces for your incantations, full and new moon rituals, working with waxing and waning moon energy, planner pages to script out your best year, and weekly pages that include the oracle of the week, along with magical notes, spells, and recipes that you may be working with, or experiments, right? And also you can track all of your magical habits here because these habits really build up our own connection to magic in the world. And it's just brimming with magical energy for you to have the most magical 2020 yet. How many times did I say magical? Too many. But go to the show notes and check out the link, or just go to www.dailyalchemy.com and scroll down to about the middle of the page and you'll find a big button that'll take you right there where you can see the brand new gorgeous cover for 2020. Hi, I'm Michelle Martin Dobbins, the creator of dailyalchemy.com and the Moon and Magic Planner. Welcome to another episode of Adventures in Alchemy, where we share tips, techniques, and true stories to support you in using magic, witchcraft, and alchemy to right wrongs, heal generational wounds, create synchronicity, and re-enchant your world. I charm this podcast episode to be of service, to allow divine ideas to come through, and to bring value to all who listen. Now, on with the show. Hey guys, so this week we're going to be talking about why you need a word of the year and what a word of the year is. It's something a lot of people do, and I was looking back actually through some of my old blog posts, and I found my first blog post about my word of the year was dated in 2015, and then I had noted that I had had words of the year previous to that, but I didn't really keep track of them as much. So, let me go into more about what a word of the year is. A word of the year is kind of like your theme for the year. It's like that thing that you're focusing on for the year. And here's the thing about words of the year that may be surprising. You don't really get to pick them. You don't get to pick your own. I mean, you might pick your own, but really what you want to do is step back and not just pick a word that appeals to you, but just wait for a word to come in. And for me, a lot of times that'll be like when I'm doing something mindless, I'm in the shower, washing my hair, or, I'm just driving down the road and the word pops in. And here's the trick for me. It may not be the same for you, but for me to know if the word is my word is this one little thing. It makes me slightly sick to my stomach. Yep, that's the one that lets me know that this word is like the word that the universe chose for me, my ancestors, my spiritual helpers, and my higher self, because it's one that feels challenging and kind of scary to me. That's when I know that it is the word for me to focus on that year. And it's like a lot of times I play with and I'm like, is this my word? Is that my word? But I try to like meditate and see if something comes up on the word of the year. But for me, it's almost always that it pops in later on. I might have like, is this it? And I'll have a few ideas floating around. And then I'll just be like, bam, this is it. And I'll be like, oh, okay, so that's it. That's the word. For me, I was looking through some of the words that I've used in the past. And before I started documenting them really well, I know it said that I've done it for 3 or 4 years and didn't even keep track. And, you are where you are. I don't think you get as much out of it if you just don't keep track of it. Although there is something to be said for writing the word down and putting it away and then looking at it at the end of the year.
That's like not my favorite way of doing it, but it's interesting. I've known some people who've done that and they come back to the end of the year and like, whoa, that makes perfect sense. What happened and what unfolded for me this year. I knew back in the day before I really did a lot, I had one year I had connection, one year I had magic. 2015 I had daring. 2016 I had allow, and that was one I wrote about. Like I was like, I did not comply with the word allow. It's something really hard. I'm a Virgo, y'all. I like to be in charge. So allowing things to happen, it was a challenge. And I don't really think I lived up to the challenge, but that's okay too. Like that's part of like this process of coming up with a word. If you don't live up to it, and I don't mean like harshly judging yourself, but you're like, oh, I kind of veered off course, off path. It's, it's life. Life is messy, y'all. So 2017, I had warrior, and I did live up to that one in a lot of ways. In a lot of ways, I didn't. I think that probably happens a lot. 2018, I had steadfast. Aries rising here, and I have a real hard time with consistency, and like I always like, ooh, squirrel, let's go this way, let's go that way. So I feel like I'm tuning into something more on that kind of level this year too. 2019 was emerge, and it's really funny because I had that and I was like, yeah, it's time for me to really fully come out and commit to my work and commit to like living life full on. And then what happened was that I went into a cocoon for like, I don't know, over half of the year. I really had a hard time this year. I really struggled with a lot of things. And I got to a point where I was like not even on social media, and I'm still not back to the level that I used to be, like, because I just really want to rethink what I'm doing there and what I'm sharing, and what I give and what I get out of it. And I don't want to get anything that's not good, as far as like, I don't want to have something that just takes my energy down. And I used to love social media, and I still have so many positive people there, but somehow the energy shifted there for me. And I just want to make sure that I'm not wasting anybody's time either, that I'm giving something of benefit and substance. Ooh, substance. Maybe that's my word. I don't know. I don't have a 2020 word yet, but substance is interesting. I was also kind of looking at depth and also grounding, just like really wanting to fully immerse myself. Immerse is another one. It's so similar to immerse into like living deeply, and like just really, really being as present as I can. So those are kind of my thoughts on 2020, but I haven't really came up with the whole thing yet. But 2019, I finally do feel like I'm embodying that word, because I did, as I said, I went into the cocoon, but then I was able to kind of emerge, and I ended up sharing myself or outing myself as a witch on this podcast and other things. And now it's like, oh, that's no big deal anymore. And really, I think I just was always afraid, like I didn't want to cross the line. I love alchemy. I love positive thought work, law of attraction. I use that word a lot, even though it's not my favorite thing and not my favorite way to express it, but I know a lot of people know about it. But for some reason, just hiding that word felt like I was hiding myself, and just being vulnerable. Being vulnerable, yeah, has been kind of how I have emerged. Being vulnerable in my personal life with the people that I'm closest to, that I've been afraid to be vulnerable with, and being vulnerable with you guys here, and just sharing my truth fully has been really, really hard and really, really good. So yeah, there it is. Personal growth it's a painful process, but it's also a beautiful process. And that's kind of what I'm looking for in the next year, is a lot of really deep personal and spiritual growth. And I used to think you could do that on your own, and more I'm realizing that there's the reason that other people here is that we're all in this together. Like, is that from like High School Musical stuff? I think my kids played that all over and over. I'm not going to sing it, but if you're a mom of a certain age, you might know that one. So it really gives me something to look back on. I look back on my old words of the year, But it also just gives me a very, very simple focus as I'm going through the year. And as I have said, if you just take that word and you chuck it out the window, it's not going to do as much for you, especially if you don't like at least save it somewhere to come back and look at it on New Year's Eve or something again. But if you just, if you really make it a focus, and it's pretty easy to do that. One of the things that I do is I just have like one of those sticky note apps on my computer. So when I open my computer, there's always a sticky note every year. And what it has is it just has my word of the year in big, huge font. So like every time I open my computer, which is most every day, I'm going to see it in my face. Now I can choose to ignore it, but I'm still going to see it. And subconsciously it's going to register that, hey, this is the path that I'm on this year. This is the theme that I'm on. And as I said, you'll know also if you choose your word or if you get the word that is chosen for you. And if you get that word that's chosen for you, it's going to be challenging a lot of times. But it just, when you see it, even if you're choosing to ignore it, your subconscious is registering it. And it's just, especially if it's one of those words that just came up and you're like, no, I don't want this word, but you know you need this word. It can be a real guide stone through the year, even when you go off path. And it's often interesting because you won't necessarily always know why that word should be your word. And then at the end of the year, when you reflect back, you just, your eyes are opened. It's synchronicity and magic. So that's my reasoning on why you should have a word of the year. I don't mean to shit on you, why you need one, why you might want to try this out. So another thing is just to keep that word in mind. Another thing that I've thought about trying but haven't, you can get these little bracelets. They sell them on Etsy and they're like, they just have one word. So you can have your word of the year. And I think they're like 10, $20. So it's not like super expensive because you're going to buy a new one next year, more than likely. You get one word per year. And if you think you messed it up, it's okay. Start fresh the next year with a new word. Unless your heart and your gut and your soul says, nope, I got the same word again. But I think that's probably pretty rare. I don't know anybody that's done that, but I'm sure there probably are, right? So your experiment is going to be a long-term one, y'all. And that is, well, short and long, that is just to open yourself up and decide that you're going to choose a word of the year this year, especially if you haven't before. But be open to letting the universe show you what that is and letting it just pop into mind when you least expect it over the next few weeks here. And then once you have that word, of course, the second part of your experiment is to make sure you put it somewhere where you see it, and just, you can meditate on it too. You can make a mantra with it, but it's an overarching theme for you to just keep in mind as you're going through the year. So yeah, that's your experiment for this year. I'm really excited for 2020 for some reason, and I'm looking forward to my word coming at me. Like I said, I get these little, is it this? Is it that? But nothing is totally settled in. But I feel like for me, a lot of times they go back and forth. Like I had daring, and then I had allow, and then I had warrior, and then I had steadfast, and then I had emerge, and now I'm waiting for 2020. So it's interesting. I never tried to create that pattern. I just allowed what would happen. But it seems like my years go for like one is a more external focus, and then the other one is like a more internal focus. And like one is more yin and the other is more yang. And so I find that really fascinating how that has happened. So to me, that feels like, and I might get it backwards, but like this year will be more yin, which is kind of that slow movement. The more, I guess, it's yin more feminine and yang is more masculine, I think. I could be wrong, but I know like when I do the yin yoga, it's like the slow motion where you hold one pose for a time and it's really deep. And yang is more fiery and fast and more like you're going out there and making waves in the world. And it's interesting because they both build muscle, they both build strength, they both make waves in the world. They just do it differently. So, and if the yin yang symbol is anything for us to know, we need both, right? In perfect harmony. So I would love to hear any of your experiences with the word of the year. Please reach out with me from past experiences or how it's going, getting this year's word. I would love for you to show that to me. And I have a gift for you. A gift, as my daughter, when she went to Tanzania, she said all the little children would say, gift, gift, you have a gift, teacher. But I have a gift for you. It is a Be Magic workbook for 2020, and it has 5 steps. And guess what the first step is? The first step is to choose your word of the year. And then there are 5 steps in all, and I'm not going to sit and go through all of them, but you can download that for free. It will be at the website. I'm going to put it in the show notes, but it's in the freebies. And if you also want to go to just dailyalchemy.com and link on freebies, it will take you to that page where those freebies are located. So I'm going to put that there for you to get that workbook to kind of get you prepped and in the mood for some magical happenings in 2020. I will be doing more interviews for people for the Real People, Real Magic series in January and beyond. So if you haven't signed up to do that, shoot me an email. Just go to dailyalchemy.com and click on the email link, or DM me on any of the social medias like Twitter or Facebook or Instagram, and we can set that up. As I said, you do not have to be you don't have to have a business. You don't have to have a spiritual business. You could be a writer. You could sell jewelry, whatever. If you have a business and you want to shout it out, I'll let you shout it out. And I will definitely share the links and all that stuff. And if you have a spiritual business, obviously we'll talk about that too. And if you're just like someone who just wants to share your story because it might help somebody else and bring you good vibes and energy too, that is awesome as well. So, and your stories don't have to be over the top. We just want real magic stories, like what happened when you tried this, and just to share with each other. Especially, I'd love to hear about people's daily practices and, fun outcomes are great and fun to share, but I'd love to just hear also like what you do every day and why magic makes your life better and how it makes your life better. So if you want to come on the podcast and do that, I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, I think that's all. We'll have one more episode this year, and I'm going to be talking a bit about one that I promised a long, long time ago, which is some rituals. I think it's 7 Spheres is the book, but we'll be talking about that next week, if you're interested in a little bit more detailed rituals, especially if maybe that's something that's calling you in 2020 that you can do. I'm going to share with you my experiences on doing that. And then hopefully in the new year, I know I already have some people scheduled, but we'll be getting into a lot more real life stories because I love me some magical stories. All right. I wish you a happy, happy holiday season if you celebrate any, and even if you don't, you get some hopefully time off. And so as we leave out, let's be change-making descendants. Let's be future exalted ancestors, and let's live magically in the now. Peace out. Love you guys.